Hi there. Hey, I just wanted to send a quick video about a really important topic that I think I've had a lot of conversations with. You've probably been working through a lot in the last month or two, even beyond that, and that's this whole concept of accountability. Accountability is just the idea of getting people to hold their promises to things you expect. All right, but we're going to shift it and talk a little bit about coaching, and we're going to talk about a concept here, infinite one down, that I'll introduce to you. It probably links to something you're really familiar with. But to set the stage, let's just talk for a second about what our goals are, what our aspirations are when we talk about coaching. Most of us frame this activity and this work by feeling the pressure that we need to offload some things that are on our plate, find a good person that's reasonable and offload it. So we call it delegation, offload it to them. And a leadership thing would be, us getting other people to do great work. And so we're thinking the goal of this is to help this person understand and become proficient in how to do that thing that we used to do. All right, very valuable, right? I want to really challenge you and say that is not one where we should stop. And stopping there is very common, and it shortchanges our long-term capabilities with our teams. And sometimes we're feeling that right now in crises. All right, we're frustrated. Some people maybe aren't performing the way, or we're asking people to stretch and they can't, and everybody feels overwhelmed. Obviously, there's lots of other crises involved, but just the workload piece is breaking down sometimes as well. It's very common. All right, so I want to introduce just the basic methodology of coaching. All right, you've probably seen this before, so we're going to throw this up here real quick, but then we're going to add an extra step and kind of talk about where this can kind of go sideways and how to keep it from happening. All right, so let's just talk about the process of you getting somebody else, or me getting you in this case, to do something, to be proficient at the level and the standard that's acceptable to me, so that I'm offloading it to you. Okay, and so we're just going to go through this real simple process, and you know this well. So if I'm doing this with you, I'm going to start that process with I do, and you are going to do what? And the very first step, you watch. Whoops, watch. All right, so hopefully my handwriting, which is kind of bad. All right, so I do, you watch. Now, we can shortchange this and even skip this step at times if we need to, depending on the quality of the person that you're working with and that sort of thing. All right, I want to add one more thing in here that sometimes we miss, and that's to talk at the end of this step. And we're going to keep this going all the way down. So include a conversation at the end of this all the time. All right, so the next level, all right, seems rudimentary, but this is often where we all start, by the way, which is I do, and you, you do what? What's the migration of watching? We do help. Okay, so we're watching, and now you're helping, you're participating, right? And we're still going to include a talk here. All right, the talks are different. This talk would be more about, what'd you see, what was interesting. This talk is more about what was hard, what did you enjoy. We're doing things, right? All right, but remember, we're still doing, you're watching, we're helping. All right, number three is the very exciting transition, all right, to you do. Okay, you do. We all love getting to this spot, don't we? You do. That's the handoff. But what's the important part here that is my responsibility? I help. Okay? And then we're still going to have a talk. This talk is the most important talk that we have in this whole process. First time that you do and I help, what was the change of experience? What was really hard? What do we need to focus on? Okay? And then we get to the fourth step. You do, and what do you think I'm doing? We're kind of migrating all the way back down, and now I watch. Okay? I watch. I'm going to point out a few things that go wrong in this often. First of all, we often skip this step because we're going so fast and we think it's meaningless. All right? Number two, we really get focused on trying to get the you do part, but we jump all the way down to 4, which is you do and I'll watch. So very rarely do we invest the time in this number 3 step. And because we don't have this very important conversation, which is about how did it feel when I was helping you and you were doing it for the first time. Our first conversation is all the way down here, even if we include it. Often we don't, because we're not doing these talks very well. And so we get all the way down to you do, I watch. We don't have the talk that we needed to have even up here. And we're starting to really guess on how things are going. Okay, does that make sense here? We do want to get all the way through this process because this is what we talked about, right? We talked about being able to have somebody else do that what we used to do, all right? And us not having to participate in it, because what do we have to do? We've got lots of other things that we got to get done, okay? So does this process make sense? We're missing the fifth step, most important step though, all right? Remember what the real goal is. The real goal is that this person, you, are able to replicate this process, all right? So that's super important. So number 5 is something that you have got to encourage yourself to include as the final destination of this whole process, all right? And it's going to be you do. So you do. But what would be here that would take us all the way back up to here to replicate this process? All right? And that is someone else watches. Someone else watch. Your goal, my goal with you in this case, is that I've got to get all the way down here to where you aren't just doing to a degree that's satisfaction, but now you're doing and bringing somebody else in to start this whole process over. All right, does that make sense? Why is this important? This is important because just the pressure you feel, which is what? To create airspace for yourself, to go do other things that are being asked of you. So you have to create airspace by getting somebody else to do some of the things that you're capable of handing off. That person that you're teaching needs the exact same thing. We don't think they do, all right, until we're in crisis, and then we need everybody to rise up a level, and no one can because no one has gone past number 4. All right, does that make sense? No one goes past number 4. We don't push anybody past number 4. And we need number 5 to happen so that we can do the same thing with them. All right? They're going to jump up into your spot and they're going to say, I have pressure to do more. I need to create airspace for myself and I need to get somebody else involved in this process. All right? That's your job, is to make sure the infinite one down loop is happening. This is the infinite, it goes and goes and goes. And even if somebody doesn't have somebody that reports to them, that's not an excuse. We've got to look for peers then, right? Who's beside you that's capable of porting in and covering for you while we bring you up to do more things, all right? Does this understand? Now, how do you make this work? Anyone that reports to you, you should be able to know at what stage of this are you with them in this process, and just write it down. Just write it down. Say, well, I have Bri right here. I know I need to get here to Bri, so what do I need to do to go from helping, all right, for Bri to do and I watch? How's our talks going, by the way, that give us any information about how this process is going? If you're in trouble, right, if you get down to here and you're watching and you're not seeing the performance that you need, what do we want to do? We want to go up one level, okay? So the key things that we want to do here are place your team on the grid, okay, place them, and then go up, all right, go up one level if you're in trouble. All right? You can't just keep pushing on step 4 hoping it's going to work, okay? You've got to go back up to 3, all right? Back up to 3, and convince yourself you're ready to go to 4, all right? You got to do that. So sometimes we get stuck and we're like, I'm trying. We probably screwed this process up at some point, so that's okay, but you got to go up one level, lock it down, and then graduate. All right, it's really important. And don't stop at 4. That's the number one problem. We've got to stop all the way at 5, meaning, okay, great, Tammy. I'm really liking what I see when I'm watching, and it seems like you really got a lot of confidence. You have to find somebody now, Tammy, to bring into this process straight away. All right? You're in the coaching business now. Why? Because now Tammy is going to have some airspace, and we have the opportunity to grab Tammy, give her more, grow her, by the way, but in crisis, help handle heat for us. Okay? What happens in crisis is we ask, and everybody can take a step up, but there's a ceiling, because when we ask, we have no one under about one level that we have been able to incorporate in this process. All right, so hopefully that helps. Just actually get your whole team on this grid. Put people, like I'm still pure, I do, you help. Include the talks, do all that stuff, all right? And I think it will help you as far as the accountability. All right, we'll talk to you soon.